What up, Z-Pack? It's your boy, as in Y chromosome, as in male, physician. It's your boy, Z-Dog MD. And I am here to defend the honor of our male doctors today. In light of this libelous, slanderous report entitled Women Really Are Better Doctors, study suggests, it may be true. The data. So guys, this is some interesting ish. So Harvard did a study about to be published in JAMA, the Journal of the American Medical Association, a historically male-dominated mouthpiece of conservatism, of conservatism meaning do not change the status quo in healthcare for decades. In this journal, all right, was a study of about 1.5 million hospital visits with a Medicare population 65 and older, looking at this group and saying, okay, based on the gender of the person who was the predominant caregiver, based on billing, so there's, some flexibility in interpretation of this, but they found that if it were female, the predominant caregiver, that these patients had a treatment mortality lower by 0.4 percentage points, okay, relative to male doctors. Okay, that translates roughly into 32,000 lives in the Medicare population alone, and that's the number of deaths from vehicle crashes per year. So, looking at this data, boy, it makes something, doesn't it? It makes you think that we need to be looking, if it's true, if it's accurate, and there's some play in the data, but if it's accurate, and the reason I'm playing devil's advocate is whenever you look at data, you want to try to analyze it from, could there be mistakes, could there be biases in the data? And if this data, and there are some issues here, but they're not that bad, and actually they've controlled for a lot of things like, is it, are there other issues going, like do healthier patients choose female doctors? Well, it turns out they looked at a hospital population where patients don't choose their doctors, they're hospitalists, and they subdivided that out, and they said, nope, the effect's still there. And so the question is, why? Could women do a better job than men at something that involves empathy, connecting with fellow human beings? That if you believe any of the bullish I've been saying about Health 3.0 involves working in teams collaboratively, involves empowering patients, involves listening as well as talking. And golly, I don't know if I'm maybe fishing at a stereotype here, but I've always found the female of the species to be better at those things on average than men, at least as we are culturally conditioned. So the question is this real? And if so, what do we do about it? And are we just furthering stereotypes by even looking at the problem? Well, here's the twist. Female physicians, on average, make $20,000 less than their male colleagues. Well, heck! So now it actually does matter, because if we're paying women less, and there's all kinds of excuses for that. Well, be home and take care of the kids and blah, 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 blah. Okay, if they're working both full-time jobs, should they be paid the same if their work is, in fact, if you believe this data, superior to men? Well, that's a discussion that we need to have, isn't it, Z-Pack? Let's read some comments. Yo, what impact does nurse practitioner versus MD have on mortality rate? Carla Mees. Carla, I may be wrong, but I don't think that's been directly studied. I'm not sure who would fund such a trial except for either physicians who are opposed to nurse practitioners or nurse practitioners who want an increased scope of practice. But I have not seen that study. If somebody has that data, let me know. I would be shocked to see major differences because honestly, and y'all are gonna get some hate. Honestly, I think so much of the therapeutic relationship has to do with interaction. And I'm not saying men are worse at interacting. I'm saying we all know that as a cultural conditioning, if nothing else, forget about like whether you're born with it or not, as a culture and conditioning, Men tend to hold stuff closer to the vest. They tend to play tough guy. These kind of things. So in these interactions, they may be less, and the speculation in the paper is they're less maybe encouraging. It turns out female doctors have been shown to actually adhere to clinical guidelines more. Now, whether that's a good thing or bad thing, you could argue, but the outcomes of this show that patients are doing better. They have longer visits on average with female doctors. And then it's funny because the classic sexist response to that is, well, they don't get their act together. They're not efficient. Well, they're certainly efficient at saving lives relative to men and reducing readmissions, which were down by, I think, 5% in the population that was taken care of by females relative to males. So I think whether or not you believe this data, if you don't believe this data, you got to replicate it. In which case, if you find the same result, this isn't a question of saying, oh, women are superior to men or men are inferior to women, whatever it is. It's not that. It's what can we learn about the nature of healing that women can teach us relative to men, and what can men steal and use, or we can use as a systemic thing, or we can build into our technology, or we can build into our processes that women are doing that men aren't doing. And this is fascinating to me, because when I think about Health 3.0, which is, again, collaborative, team-based care that repersonalizes medicine, that's based on spending time with the patient, knowing their unique story and plugging it in to a bigger population story, and having technology enable that and getting paid based on your outcomes rather than any other metric per se. If that actually can happen and women have an insight and a way of doing it that's better, we need to learn from that ish ASAP, right? And so here, let's see some other bits of this, and then let's read some comments. So, female doctors say, hey, says Bonnie Chung. Hey, man, Mrs. Dog happened to be a female doctor. I will be the first to admit she is better trained than me, more patient than me. She's a radiologist, so her communication skills are different. She's really good at communicating with other clinicians, but she doesn't necessarily talk to patients on a regular basis. So I'm actually pretty good at that. From years of practice, not necessarily from any male-female thing, but she is really good at what she does, and she kicks ass teaching the kids, and she makes a way better tilapia than I do, because we had that for dinner and it was damn good. All right, let's read some parts of the study here. So Vinnie Arora was one of the commentators in this journalistic piece in the Washington Post. There was another piece in the Atlantic as well. Both have pretty strong biases, these journalistic sources. You have to weigh those. But Vinita Arora, who I know, associate professor of medicine at University of Chicago, she's a hospitalist and I think head of the residency there, praised the research but was cautious to read too much into the main result, pointing out that it was important to remember the effect might stem from multiple factors. It could be something the doctor is doing, she said. It could be something about how the patient is reacting to the doctor. It's really hard to say. It's probably multifactorial. Well, either way, there's something going on there. There's some cultural event, there's some cultural thing, or there's some innate thing that way female doctors practice, or there's some expectation of nurturing. Who knows what it is, but it's worth talking about. I think when we ignore these differences between men and women and we say, we're just good doctors, and I get a lot of those comments. So we'll talk about the butt hurt that my initial posting of this article triggered. But I think if we ignore those differences, we're missing potential insight. We're not saying we should stratify people. We're saying let's learn what works and what doesn't, right? That's my take. If you disagree, leave a comment, but I disagree with you. It's funny. So I post this comment with a sarcastic, here, let me see, what did I write? Because I think this is funny, because the butt hurt resulting from talking about gender issues is tremendous. And it eggs both sides of the aisle get butthurt when you talk about gender. So half the people are like, no, there's no difference between men and women. And then half the people are like, women have been put down for years and you're promoting stereotypes and so on. So what I wrote was, I posted the article that says, women are really better doctors, study suggests, which is very provocative and I don't think necessarily accurate reflection of the science yet. It's saying it is really kind of, there's a trend to this. So the question is, we need to follow up and see, are we missing any biases, et cetera? And if we're not, then we need to really look at this. So I said, it's on, ladies. At least I still get paid more than you do for the same amount of work. Signed, the world's most sensitive male doc. Now, if you don't detect the sarcasm in that, if you don't detect the fact that I am acknowledging that men inequitably get paid more than women for the same amount of work, and you think I'm endorsing that, you are batshit crazy. So somebody wrote in here, let's see. So every now and again I'll troll through the comments to look for haters because those are the most interesting ones. What do we got? Where was this comment? Because I was fascinated by it because it made no sense to me. And those are my favorite comments. I can't find the specific one, so I won't name the commenter because that's a bit of cyberbullying. But I will say that this person said, "I can't believe you're using your platform to spread, misconceptions and such and so forth." I'm like, what? So either you're implying that you disagree with the article and women weren't better doctors in this study, or you're saying that my snarky comment, you took it seriously. Either way, I think you're a little bit off your rocker and you need to explain yourself more than that making that statement. So this kind of thing causes a considerable amount of butthurt, which is why I love it, because it makes me happy, because I get to say what I want on my platform. Now, guys, let's read some comments. Okay, you just made me love you more, Jessica Hardy. Why, thank you, Jessica. And again, I am not trying to pander to women here. I'm trying to say I am a fan of evidence-based medicine as it applies to my population, my patients. Well, it turns out 50% of the population is female, or 51% or whatever it ultimately is. And if we are ignoring what is working in that population and also punitizing it, we're punishing it because we're paying women less, then something is drastically wrong. Now, on the other side, I think we should give men paternity benefits equivalent to what women get, because the chance to father your child and be involved in the home is not exclusively the domain of women anymore. So this needs to be looked at. There are gender stereotypes on all sides, right? So let's think about that. What we got here. Armando Gallegos, it's clear that female physicians are not worse than men. However, I think factors that weren't controlled, including salary. So Armando, expand on that, because I think it's worth looking into studies and saying, okay, what did we miss? Now, one thing they said as well was it controlled for the fact that healthier patients might be choosing female doctors and therefore biasing the study. They actually did control for that because they looked at hospitalists who are not chosen by their patients. They are assigned, and there was no bias there. Now, I don't even think that's possible. I don't think that they're getting assigned easier patients by the ER, because the ER doesn't really make those decisions. So you're trying to look for every bias. Because look, man, I did the projectimplicit.org website. I did a bias test for men-women roles, male-female roles. So do I have an implicit bias that women should be at home with family and that men should be out doing careers? And it turns out, I don't believe I did. When I took the test, I had a moderate bias that men have careers and women have families at home. And this is a conditioned, non-conscious response. So until you even recognize that you have it in yourself, it's very hard to look at data without trying to spin it. So you see your elephant goes, no, women can't be better doctors because men are more analytical and they have better spatial reasoning and they can parallel park better. So all these reasons will come up when your elephant intuitively is conditioned to think that women do not have a role as physicians. Remember, they're relatively new to this craft, and they are killing it according to this study. It's been not that many years since women have really been integrated into the fabric of it. And I will guarantee you, I get comments from female doctors here who are part of PMG, or Physician Moms Group, or other groups who are saying, look, man, the struggle is still real. It is a men's world. It's a man's world. We are constantly treated like second-class citizens, all kinds of bias everywhere, and we still have to deal with our families as if we are the sole caregiver at home. And so, man, the struggle is real. The struggle is real. No good deed goes unpunished. Kim Vasquez, generalizing groups is dangerous on a whole, unless it's true. So you don't generalize, but you say, well, look, on average, if you look at men versus women in this study, people who were taken care of by women did better in a way that's statistically significant and actually clinically significant. So we have to explain that away, look at the study, or say, there is a difference here. And so what is it that women as a group on average are doing differently? Should that change how you hire someone? No. Should that change how you treat someone that's a colleague of yours? Absolutely not. Should it change how we think about systems? Yes, because it means that we can learn something from this. Men versus women shouldn't make a difference in pay. It should be experience, Liz Bennett. There's plenty of criteria for how you should get paid, Liz, but sex should not be one of them. I agree. What do we got? Jen Zimmerman, which is a huge fat pile of bullshit. I work with an amazing palm crit and ER attendings that are women that absolutely kick so much ass, pound for pound. I put some of my ER palm critical crit. Oh, she's probably responding to another comment that I didn't see, so apologize for that because it won't make sense out of context. Let's scroll down to the bottom here, see how much trouble I'm getting in with people because I'm way back in the comments. I don't think gender matters more than other individual factors. Gender is just one part of who a person is. Katie Karaka. That's absolutely true, but you still have to look at it. And honestly, I think if we're afraid to study these differences, we're missing a part of truth, you know. And there are plenty of cultural biases against studying these differences. But this study does open a door to more studies, as do all studies, Armando Gallegos. I agree with you. It's rare for a patient to be seen with me in team and realize I'm the physician and all the men are not. That is so shocking to some patients. Menaz Haider. It's true, and I hear this consistently. And it's true with male nurses. So these gender roles cross gender. So male nurses are often confused with being the doctor. And there are plenty of stereotypes on both sides to go around. So we can be equal opportunity biased elephants, right? That and then our little conscious writer will spin reasons for why we have that bias that just support the intuition rather than actual truth. Okay, I don't understand that comment, so I'm not going to read it. Lindsay Ann, maybe this isn't a maternal thing. Think about it. When we're kids, usually our moms take care of us. So as adults, a female caregiver is who we look to heal us and help our illnesses and could be like a placebo. So, Lindsay, I think you're onto something here. I'm going to sip some of this. By the way, after dinner, I drink hot water. Isn't that weird? Just plain hot water. I just love it. My Asian in-laws, my Chinese in-laws, my wife's parents taught me this. It's like a Chinese thing. They don't drink anything with their meals except for hot water because tea at night, they get caffeine and all that. And I really dig it. It's weird. It's just a comforting kind of thing. And it forces you to drink water without any adulterates in it. What were we talking about? Lindsay Ann's maternal comment. And could there be a placebo effect that we just expect a healing relationship from a female figure? I think this is worth exploring because I actually am a huge proponent of the mind-body placebo connection. And if there is some expectation or some weird we space that's created between a patient and a female provider, then we need to explore what that is because we might be able to harness it. We might be able to replicate it. We might be able to understand the mind-body interface better, the effect of cultural and childhood conditioning on health and healing and perception. So I think it's very important. Okay. Why don't you bring in your wife to get her perspective, Robert Reno? So, Robert, you're asking a great question. I actually asked her to be on the show many times, and she is an introvert by nature. She's a radiologist, and she has just never had the desire to be on the show. So, at some point, we will sweet talk her into it when it's a message she really is crazy about. But even then, even if you knew her, you would go, yeah, she's just not the type of person who would come and extrovert on camera. And so she's just never wanted to do it, never had a desire to do it. And she thinks it's kind of an interesting shtick if she's never seen, except for very rarely, like in the video 7 years, you can see her with the kids. So that's why she doesn't do that. It's not because, as Donald Trump would say with the Gold Star family, that where the wife didn't speak at the Democratic convention, and Trump was like, "Oh, it was probably because he was Muslim and he wouldn't let her talk." It's not like that. It's not like that. It's that she doesn't want to. So, Kirsten Andrews, I'm biased against female hospitalists, at least in neurology. I've had very frustrating experiences with the neurology department at UC Davis this past week. So, Kirsten Andrews. Oh, I'm sorry, Kirsten. I wonder why that is. And acknowledging your bias is one important step to understanding what could be the reason for it. And it might be just experience with a small subset, a small N, if you will. Andrea Skiba, does Medicare insurance companies pay out differently if their coding is provided by male or female? Why would the MD, NP, PA reimbursement differ due to gender? Oh, that's fascinating, Andrea. I don't think Medicare pays differently. What it is usually the salaried physicians. And then there are other factors that go into it, but I do not believe, and someone correct me if I'm wrong, that Medicare reimburses differently. A lot of times you're going through another entity to get paid. You're not getting direct billing. Hi from Saskatchewan, Canada, Kyle Kerr. Kyle, how is that nurse situation doing there? The one who went on Facebook and complained about her grandfather's care and got disciplined by the Saskatoon Board of Nursing or whatever, the SRNA. Let us know an update on that. All right, guys. Where are we here? Oh, here we go. Bill Lowry. I love being a male nurse in a female-dominated world and then seeing all the amazing women doctors that are absolutely amazing in their knowledge in patient care. Women are often barred from higher roles in, and then it got cut off because it's too long and I can only see so much on the comments. Bill, that's a great comment. Again, like seeing gender stereotypes smashed gives you a weird sense of elevation internally because you feel like anything is possible, right? What's your feeling of NP versus ND, definite female dominated, Erica? Well, I think nurse practitioners, it mirrors nursing in that it's a female dominant profession historically, and I think that's been brought forward, although that's changing slowly. So we'll see. And again, does it have to do with this idea of nurturing roles? Does it have to do with this maternalism? Either it's cultural or there's a actually inborn component. You'd have to really look at it carefully to see. All right, let's see. Scroll down to the bottom here. You know what I'm going to do? I'll read one more comment, and then we're going to run a quick commercial so that we can get Doctors Without Borders a little bit of cash. See Pup's on the violin, so that's a good time to go to commercial. My medical director is a female doctor, and she's awesome, Priscilla Sternig. That is awesome. Okay, gang, we're doing this pilot with Facebook. There's going to be a commercial targeted to you or nothing at all. Tell me what you see. And I'm donating the revenue to Doctors Without Borders. So stick with me, 844 of you. Let's do this. Sweet, we're back. Oh, we lost about 50, 60 people. They'll be back. You'll be back. Oh, by the way, earlier on Facebook, I posted a SoundCloud link to most of my songs so you can stream them for free. Number second, we posted the brand new premiere of the track You'll Be Back, a parody from the musical Hamilton about King Pharma singing to his minions. So definitely check it out. I will post a link here as well. We're going to make the video soon. Ideas for the video are welcome, although me in a white King George wig with a monocle running through a meadow sounds pretty good to me. You got an Amazon ad, Kelly? That's awesome. Somebody got a Furby. Sarah Curvin got a Furby ad. Pandora commercial. Love Pandora. Kathy Doyle. These algorithms are smart, Kathy. Microsoft Office 365 for Zach Lockhart. Ironic, my subscription just expired. Zach, they know all about you, sir. They know all about you. Kind of terrifying. Sarah Parker got the dreaded Tempur-Pedic because they know she needs sleep. Them Facebook guys. And Paula Willis got Google Chromecast. Awesome. And Monica Price keeps getting the same Sonic commercials. You need to get a burger, girl. All right, so check it out. Other things to talk about. So let me summarize this men-woman thing by saying more studies are necessary. I don't disbelieve this data because I have seen it in action with my female colleagues who are amazing. My male colleagues are amazing too, but there is something going on that we need to study. And I think it's that relationship. It's the 3.0 idea. And as an advocate of trying to build Health 3.0, understanding how women bring a special something to the table is absolutely worth looking at. All right, what else should we talk about while Z-Pup is practicing some violin? So we've got the You'll Be Back track that you guys should definitely check out. What else did I post today? Let me scroll down. I posted a Vader bit. Why is this post showing up twice? That's weird. And then the episode of The Doctor that I was on, I reposted because I wanted you guys to laugh at me. And yeah, the Vader where he talks about Jar Jar the chiropractor. So definitely check that out. A lot more Doc Vader in the hamper to be released soon. I'm just kind of pacing it. My predisposition is to release it all at once, but y'all will get tired of it real fast. All right. Julie Hayward. Speaking of big pharma, please consider a video on gabapentin. We still don't know the mechanism of action, and it's prescribed for multiple things like candy. So, Julia, I get a lot of requests for very niche topics that are very narrow, like that, which is a great topic. But am I really going to make a music video about Neurontin? That's kind of crazy talk. We might talk about it on a Facebook Live, so that's worth checking out. But I get a lot of messages like, could you talk about this rare disease, or could you talk about this one particular drug, or could you talk about, and it's like, well, in a music video, and it's like, well, first of all, these videos cost like upwards of 10 grand to make now. They're very expensive, so I have to choose my topics wisely or shoot it myself in my basement, which takes time. And I want to have the biggest bang for the buck when I do that. So if we want smaller videos, then we have to get a sponsorship for it. So we have to find someone to cover the cost. Or I have to do more of these Facebook ads and not give the money to Doctors Without Borders, which I don't really want to do. Or I just have to man up, and that just, I would be more effective, according to the study, if I womaned up. Let's read some more comments. I got a car ad for a Camry. Guess they know I'm a broke hospitalist. Malik Kelly. Malik, I drive that white Camry. So you know it. It's a hospitalist thing. Each gender brings something different to the table. Both are greatly needed. Kristen Schumacher, absolutely. And at working in teams, even better. Even better. Our hospitalist group at Palo Alto Clinic, Stanford, it was a mix of men and women, and it was the best group to work in the world. Really fantastic. Ooh, got my head on my pillow here in Orlando, Z-Dog. Cara McClanahan. Aye, Cara, I hear ya. It's, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 over there on the East Coast and 7:31 over here. So go figure. That international date line has nothing to do with it. I love Doc Vader. Did you see the new Star Wars Rogue One? Priscilla Sternick. I haven't seen it yet. Haven't had a chance. I want to go. I'm not sure I'm going to bring my kid because I heard it was more of a war type deal, and I don't want him to have bad dreams, but I might do it. We loved you in Rogue One, dude. Vader stepped up. Doc Vader did a little, Dylan Watson. Doc Vader did a little thing. All right, what do we got here? Nice job on the doctors, Katie Swanson. Why, thank you, Katie. I tried to keep it moderately to severely real, and I probably failed. Does the study take in the entire team that takes care of the patient's care and the time frame and the stay and the size of the hospital? Suzanne Wallace. So, Suzanne, what they looked at with the hospitalist groups, because remember, you have multiple doctors, is who took care of the patients for the majority of the time as judged by billing submissions to Medicare. So, of course, that could be fraught with error, right? That was one of the points that was brought up is, could it be that we're looking at a team dynamic of men and women, and that team dynamic is more successful than pure one or the other? So we got to drill into the data more. Definitely worth asking these questions before we jump to conclusions. The press is really good at jumping to conclusions, usually somewhat supported by the authors of the trial. Okay, what do we got here? You'll Be Back was awesome, Suzanne Lana. Suzanne, I saw your comment. I'm glad you liked it. I was proud of it. It came out pretty good. I thought Devin did a great job mixing the track, too. And Tom and I are excited about shooting the video. Mary Yase, female nurse here, MD nurse. Female MD here. Did you see what I just did? How I just associated female with nurse? Implicitly, and it came out of my mouth? So female MD here. Again, my elephant has been conditioned by the 70s. Female MD here. Even in urgent care, the patients always tell me more. They want to discuss topics unrelated to their chief complaint. So, Mary, is it then, do you think, this kind of relationship, this we space that women create with patients that is different than what men create? Where men have a more of a, kind of a thing. I'm actually a believer in that myself, just anecdotally, and I haven't studied it, but that feels right to me. And actually, what feels right to us, we make a lot of mistakes in intuition, but then again, we get a lot of things right, and I suspect, Mary, that that's what it is. Lauren Doyle, it was interesting as a case manager, the female physicians were more apt to call me in the room with them to discuss the plan of care, while the male physicians would just get aggravated and then it got cut off. Yeah, I mean, I hear you. What do we got here? A lot of addicts abuse gabapentin. Okay, Donna Pritchard. I'm going to not talk about gabapentin today because it's too off topic. Oh, Kristen Andrews got the Emirates ad. Someone thinks I'm rolling fat. I got the same ad, Kristen, so they think I'm like driving something other than a Camry. And Rivan Pata got a North Face commercial. Someone's extreme. Probably an ER doc or nurse. Hi from Bergen County, New Jersey. I used to live in Bergen County, Sandy Rosario. All right. Rogue One is more of a war movie, but it's not bad. It took my 9-year-old and she loved it. Just an FYI. Perfect. Priscilla Sternick. All right, I'll bring the eldest Z-Pup. The youngest Z-Pup, who was 4.5 at the time, she's now 5, kind of freaked out at The Force Awakens. Just really had a hard time tolerating all the violence. And so I'm not going to bring her to this one. But I'll bring the other one. Hey Z, we got your videos at an HCA town hall meeting, HCA Tampa Market. Oh my gosh, into the heart of the dark side. I love it, Marjorie Elford. That's brilliant. I had a female PA when I went to urgent care today. It was a bad visit. She didn't even seem to care. Sharon Loading. Well, it shows that gender is not the sole determinant of a good bedside manner. All right, let's scroll down to the end and let's wrap this up. Women are socially trained, says Lisa Chenoweth, who is Kristen Chenoweth's sister, apparently, from the musical Wicked. Popular. We're all about popular. Women are socially trained since childhood to listen more and talk less. Women generally seem to care if the person they are talking to understands what they are saying, as opposed to some male doctors who explain and then it got cut off. Now, you're going to get a lot of grief from people who think you're stereotyping, but I'm going to agree with you. I think that stereotypes exist because there is some truth over the average of a population. And I'm not saying everybody's like that, but that is the general experience you might expect from male-female stereotypes. I think comedians are very successful when they exploit stereotypes because people laugh because they've had experience with these things. And they've had experience with differences between men and women on both sides of it. And so I think we ignore that stuff. We're being a bit PC. We need to actually look at it and go, okay, are the differences there? If they are there, great. If they're not there, let's talk about it. And if they're there, what can we do to learn from that from a systems perspective? All right. What do we got here? I think we're done, guys. Like I'm gonna send us out. So what's going on this week? We got the holidays happening. We got people working. So mad love to everybody's working this holiday. Ooh, I want to give a shout out to my boy Heimlich. Pour some out for Heimlich because at 90-something he passed away after saving how many lives by coming up with the Heimlich maneuver and being a fearless tireless advocate for it. And so we got to respect people who make a big difference in healthcare, who were 3.0 in a 1.0 world. And that was my boy right there. So home people. See that? I didn't say homeboy because I'm not sexist. Home people, we are going to kick it out with a commercial. If you could sit through it, that would get a little more money for Doctors Without Borders. So it's the equivalent of donating to that charity. If you believe in those guys, sit through this, and then I will see y'all on the download tomorrow. You know what I'm saying?